It is warm, Robert.
Guys, I'm sorry.
You're gonna be alive in about.
Okay, go for it.
Sir, it's been a while.
What's that?
Y'all just want to change the pace, or?
Wait, you mean, like, meeting wise?
Yeah, moving down here.
We should figure if we sat down here, there couldn't be as many people in the room.
Well, that'd be the room. Sheriff, how are you? Good.
Brian,
Sheriff?
we're gonna put you up tall, buddy.
Oh, no.
He said, oh no.
So you were the first one we'll see. You want a chair?
Yeah.
Here, let me get you a chair.
Sheriff, you never have a lot of a belly, but where's the rest of it go?
It's called cardiac diet.
Yeah, I bet so. I bet so, you're looking good.
Thank you.
You're gonna have to get a new wardrobe, aren't you?
I am.
I could sure see it.
Hey, Rachel, just make sure those plugins do not get
Oh,
unplugged.
Well,
That's my voting machines. Okay. Yeah. Yep.
Most of
They
us
get
will,
plugged,
Robert,
they
at
get
some
plugged,
point.
it's on my
Michelle
voting.
told me you like this too.
I'm good. I'm away from everything.
Scan vote.
So as long
Okay.
as everyone else stays away from it. There you go, yes.
Only the
I'll let you
scan.
sit right there in case I need to make a fast getaway.
Yeah, that flat seat wears on
I
you
bet
a
it
little bit.
does, yeah. It's all right. We got you covered.
And he's gonna be using that all afternoon.
Yeah, we got him.
All afternoon.
I got his back.
Feedback or something. What was that? It's not bad.
So they may be hard to hear, Heather.
And that's when Michelle was like, we don't have motions. It's like, who was that? I do want to thank you all on Facebook for holding your hands up though. You may have to do that today too, okay? Cause all, you know, your backs are to me. Some of you.
I saw another court meeting where they were doing the holding their hands up, and it seemed to help things out a lot.
It did because when it freezes up,
Right.
you can't see nobody.
Very nice.
You're up here.
Sheriff, how are you? I'm good, how are you?
I enjoyed your video yesterday.
Yeah, me too, it turned out well. Andy did one for that for 2 weeks.
Good morning.
Wouldn't let him leave DC. Imagine that. Kept him going, he couldn't get away.
Would you all do that in Louisville?
No, Lexington, over at their launch. Over at the Taj Mahal.
Yeah.
They got a heck of a place.
I was in there one time, it was 25 years ago.
See, they used to be downtown.
Oh, did they move?
Oh, yeah, they bought that. Used to be Emmett's Restaurant out on, Page Creek. It's right off Mount Ward.
Yeah, so I didn't realize I drove by it. I drove by it every week for 20 years, and didn't know they weren't still there. Cause they'd still park there and chat and stuff, you know.
Yeah, they actually.
Does the
still
sound
own
fan
it.
like not working here?
At least
Well, they
have
can't
some
reach the
kind
cord.
of organization or something.
Nobody had
They
it.
have a Taj Mahal.
I just to get something flowing at least. Hey, we've been in here doing valleys. Tell us about it. Right. We have been roasting. I'm not terrible right now, but I know in an hour that I'll be. Exactly. Yeah, we have been roasting in here. Sweet drinking off it.
in your way.
Judge Pace wanted. That's how he wanted.
So it's in your way.
Becky,
So
okay.
it's all that in
Yes,
your way.
Those are my tables.
Oh, okay.
We just rearranged the room. Yeah. No, those are all, yeah, we've had all those in here for, and then we're doing ballots this afternoon as well.
I'll do 4 together.
Yeah, they're in the hallway, yeah.
I'd like to start with a historical prayer borrowed from the words of Franklin Graham at the first inauguration of George W. Bush. God, give us calmness in the face of storms, encouragement in the face of frustration, and humility in the face of success. Give us the wisdom to know and do what is right, and the courage to say no that is contrary to your holy law. In your Son's name we pray. Amen. Now, I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now call the meeting to order and ask the clerk for the roll.
Magistrate Elkins,
Present.
Davis, Blanton,
Here.
Constantopoulos,
Present.
Travis, Thompson, I apologize,
Here.
and Graham.
Present. It appears we have a quorum. You should have in front of you adoption of the agenda. Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda? Motion approved. Is there a second? Any discussion?
We had a couple items we were supposed to move from last agenda to this agenda. Like one of them was, the agreement for the EMS services maybe, and it seemed like there might have been another old car building thing. Was that just postponed indefinitely? I think one of them did have a date on this, see. Yeah, the EMS did say October 14th,
This curve we can do.
but I think the car was
The
indefinite.
city requested, well, basically the city said that they didn't think we needed to approve it.
Okay, so we won't have that brought up again at all?
Correct.
Okay. That's all I had.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Now, item number 6, consider approval of the minutes from the September 24th, 2020 fiscal court meeting. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion also carries. Do I have public comment? Do we have anyone for public comment?
We have none, Judge.
Okay. Soon-to-be Chief Asbury has asked that we move up his pending, which I had planned to do after the meeting, like we did with Treasurer Mayab, because his wife has to get back to work. So I'm gonna use this time to allow him to have a little ceremony.
And this is why you buy this shirt like this.
Congratulations.
Thanks, sir.
Item number 8, presentation by Becky Arvin, Executive Director of New Beginnings regarding purchasing an ultrasound machine.
Pull this down like that. Can you all hear me with it like this? Okay. Like you said, I'm Becky Arvin. I'm the Executive Director at New Beginnings. I've been there about 3 years. I just wanted to start really quick. I don't know how long I have, but just start a second by telling you who we are and what we are in case someone here doesn't know. New Beginnings is a pregnancy and parenting center. We were established in 1989 to be a pro-life center for women facing untimely pregnancies and parenting challenges in Clark County. The center has changed location 3 times over the years due to need of additional space. And in 2008, a building was purchased where we are now with grant funds, and the center moved to its present location at 139 Jefferson Street. The mission of New Beginnings is to equip women and men to make life-affirming choices regarding pregnancy, parenting, and sexual integrity. And up until the opportunity I'll talk to you today, the way we've done that is pregnancy support, parenting support, and education. We're very big on education. We're committed to meeting the physical, emotional, and spiritual needs of women who are pregnant or parenting a child from the time they're born until they're 3 years old. We provide parenting support, peer counseling, education, and families in a judgment-free, compassionate environment. Just a few of our services. We offer pregnancy tests, peer counseling, up until now, limited ultrasounds, parenting classes. We offer material needs, clothing, large items that parents can earn, or used items that they can come in if they have need of that, breastfeeding supplies, referrals, and post-abortion emotional recovery. As we all know, abortion is a global issue that now affects at least 40 to 50 million unborn children every year. In the United States, where nearly half of pregnancies are unintended and 4 in 10 of these are terminated by abortion, there are over 3,000 abortions per day, just in the U.S. 22% of all pregnancies in the USA, excluding miscarriages, end in abortion. 9 out of 10 abortions are performed in the first 13 weeks of pregnancy. The average woman choosing abortion makes the decision within a day of confirming her pregnancy and obtains an abortion within the next week. The most frequently cited reason for abortion was financial. And although that moves us and maybe even makes us upset, sometimes it's hard to know exactly what we need to do to make a stand for change. Like I said, we offer free services and compassionate support to the women and men who are facing difficult pregnancy decisions. And as I mentioned, we offer the pregnancy test. We offer accurate information. For the women who come in, we are a safe, judgment-free environment. And when a woman walks into our door facing an unplanned pregnancy, most of these ladies are in crisis mode. They feel they have to make a decision right now. It allows us, we can talk to the woman, let her know she has time, and no decision needs to be made today. But I would like to be able to offer an ultrasound to every woman, every pregnant woman that walks through our door. Statistics show that at least 80% of women who see an ultrasound of their baby will choose not to abort it. Even if a young woman is excited about her pregnancy today, next month her circumstances may have changed and she is no longer with her baby's father, or the next man that may come into her life may not want to raise someone else's child. There's a lot of different circumstances that come. She just has a lot of pressure sometimes from those closest to her that may make her feel abortion is a better option. We all know abortion carries documented physical risks, but also emotional risks that impact not only her body, but her mind. We have had a wonderful opportunity come our way that I want to share with you guys today. Just a wonderful thing for the community, I feel. Dr. Richard Chamberlain and his wife Laura are on our ultrasound committee. We had all been feeling led. I don't have notes for this, I'm just going to talk to you. We had just been feeling led for quite a while that we would like to bring this to our community. We felt like it would be a very, very valuable thing to allow every woman that comes in to be able to see her child, to see the heartbeat, to see the movement. And Dr. Chamberlain had someone contact him, even though he's now retired, he's still in the circuit apparently. Someone emailed him with information on a machine that was on its way to a hospital in Texas that lost funding, and they were going to offer it to us. Normally an ultrasound costs between $36,000 and $40,000, and they were going to offer it to us for $18,000, which is just an unheard of opportunity. This is brand new, never been used. And so automatically we were excited about that and started pursuing our options, and after looking at a few places, it seems that Knights of Columbus would be the best fit for us because of what their requirements are and what we would need to do to fulfill those things. So right now we are working with the Knights of Columbus. We received local chapter support last night from a special called meeting, so we do have that. The next step is to do an application, and we have a lot of ifs going right now, but right now we know that we want to have a machine. We know that we have asked for donations, and we have a lot of community support that we are so grateful for. And we just are not there with our goals. Not only meeting the cost of the ultrasound, but also all of the other costs that are associated with it. I can tell you that as of today, I have $11,161.10 that have came in that I have at the center. Again, not sure we are going to apply for the Knights of Columbus, but we don't know if we will get that. If we do, they will help provide half. We have the machine that we have picked out that we want, but you know, still there's just some things up in the air. But we know that at the most that we will need $36,000 to $40,000, and if the Knights help us, then we will only need like 20. If we get the machine that we're looking at right now, then you know, we have a lot of the funds. There's other costs involved besides the ultrasound machine. There is increased insurance costs. There's training for the nurses that will be doing the ultrasound procedures. We've just revamped a room for this machine, and there'll be a lot of ongoing things. But right now we do currently have $1,161.10 is what we have.
11,000.
I'm sorry, $11,161.10. Thank you, big difference.
Okay, are there any questions for Becky?
When will you find out on the funding from the likes of?
Okay, he is, I'm assuming, going to be applying today. There is a process for that. He says the max he's ever seen is usually 1 to 2 months of approval. The first machine, I should clarify something. The first machine that, it was a very quick thing. We thought we had to have the money within a couple of weeks, and that machine was sold out from under us. Accidentally by a staff member, apparently with the salesperson, but he is going to make good on his offer, and he's going to give us another one at exactly the same price. And I have a receipt for that. Anyway, I have an invoice for that, $18,300. And he's going to try to donate the printer. And also this ultrasound machine has a feature that I think is amazing. When they take a picture of the baby, they can text that to your phone. And the mom will have that picture of her baby. She doesn't even have to hold on, you know, keep up with I'm sure she will, but keep up with the picture they give her. She will have that on her phone. And so that right there, I think, is an amazing feature that she will have as well. But so I'm not sure. I'm hoping a month or no more than 2 is what I'm hoping.
Any other questions?
So you're short about $7,500 for buying the actual machine itself, is what I understand.
Pretty close to that amount, yes, sir. Yeah, there are other expenses, but the machine itself.
Need would be for training and
Yes, sir. Anything that we were to get above and beyond, yes, sir, we would apply towards the training. We have 4 RNs that are willing to train, and at this point, they're volunteers. So we would pay for their training that they would need to be able to perform the ultrasound scans, and then training is provided for the actual machine itself. It comes with the machine, but there will be other costs, and we're still, you know, we're all just kind of new at this, except for Doc and Laura Chamberlain. We're all new at this, so we're still learning about other things that are going to be needed, but from what we know so far.
it would seem to me that the important thing first is to get the machine.
Yes, sir.
Which requires $7,700.
Yes, sir. Yes, we need the machine first. Yes, sir.
And is there a time limit you have on the honoring the deal that was made, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days?
We had 2.5 weeks with the other one, but I have not been told that we had that deadline with this one. I'm a little uncertain. I'm sure we don't want it to be sold out from under us, and with him providing such a good deal, but Dr. Chamberlain has not said he has given us a specific, 1 week, 2 week. So I'm not positive about that.
I'd like to make a motion that we allocate $7,500 from the community fund to go towards the purchase of this ultrasound machine.
Thank you.
There is money in the community fund for
Yes.
that project and everything, I think. We have some money not used from last year.
We had money in the community fund. Any discussion?
The motion was how much,
7,500?
Could we get something in writing and show the financial need and some things like that before we approve this? I mean, it's good to ask for money, but as I recall, you was awarded some money last year from the community fund, we saw the financials and things like that. Just before we jump into this, I'd like to see something in writing and the financial situation and some things like that before we approve this.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll do a roll call vote. All those in favor of the allocation?
Okay, Manager Elkins,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Blanton,
Personally, I would like to see a written proposal, financial information, and those information before we approve this. So absent that, I would probably vote yes if I saw that information, but absent that, having nothing before us formally, I'm gonna vote no at this time.
Manager Constantopoulos,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Graham,
Yes.
Judge,
Yes.
6-1, carries.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And that was Thompson on my second vote, right?
Yes, sir.
Correct, thank you.
Next item on the agenda, number 9, review of the treasurer's report. Is Alicia available?
Yes,
back
sir.
there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Just one thing I noticed on that, if I may ask a question, a couple of questions. One big one was, in the jail, looked like we probably, and I just want clarification, had too much money allocated for revenue side, state bed allotments, and that seemed to come down by about $72,000, or whatever that number was. Was that just because it was misplaced?
Yes, it was misplaced in 2 previous months, and so it kind of kept following suit and being placed in the wrong line item. And so when we saw that and the judge had pointed it out, then we fixed it.
Good, I figured that was the case.
Yes, sir.
One other small question I had on indigent services, which is account number 0153013570.
Yep.
That went down also from like 1,050 to 950. Did we just have some money that was misallocated there as well?
Can you give me the line item one more time, please?
0153013570. And I apologize for not asking these before, I just ran
It's
out of
okay.
time, so.
I don't remember making any changes, but I would be glad to look at that after the meeting and see what changed.
That's perfectly fine, thank you.
But I do not remember making any changes in that line
I apologize for.
in the
saying
month that I've been here.
It was 1,050 last
Okay.
month, had been spent, and then this
Okay.
month is 950, so for some reason it went down.
I will make a note to look at that for you.
Yep, no worries, thank you.
Any other questions?
Judge, I wanted to ask a question, which I assume this is part of the treasurer's report. This is the long-term liabilities.
Yes.
That's part of your report.
Mhm.
Ma'am, and just a general question, Judge, really not as much for you and the court, I guess, as Mayab, but notice on these interest rates, which obviously some of these loans were done anywhere from 3 years ago to 8 or 9 years ago. You know, we've got some of these loans, we're paying over 5% interest on. Some of them are almost 4%, some of them are between 4 and 5%, which I just wonder, Judge, is there any possibility there of refinancing some on all these loans?
Item number 20, I've already been speaking with Keiko about that. I believe item number 20 on the agenda relates to the new Keiko bond pool, which I think is at a rate of 1.9, which obviously, as you pointed out, be better than some. Now, there's a couple that the tower, and I believe the large loader at the road department are locked into bonds that, according to Keiko, we can't get out of. So those are just higher rates we're gonna have to swallow. But purchases from here forward, and then a few that we can refinance, we're working with Keiko to see if we can get something on a lower rate. And there's, I think, 3 already that they said we should probably look at, and that goes hand in hand with the other
Like
item on
the
the
breathing apparatus, you know, we still have a balance of almost $180,000 it was the tower, the loader, and the apparatus are all tied in together.
And those are locked in on a bond that you can't get out of. But everything else is open game for refinance.
I think everything we can, we should, you know, I mean, this is historic interest rates, so. And that should be good, because I think in our last committee meeting, Chief, Asbury had mentioned that maybe by November or December, the new tanker and the new fire truck, but we'll be refinancing those at that low rate, sounds like.
Have you been able to speak to Mr. Campbell?
I did reach out to him, Judge, they get to call me back.
Okay, I actually told, Chief to contact Lonnie Campbell with Keiko, because we talked about potentially doing that with the new tanker and the new fire.
I've reached out to them, they did contact me back, and the engine should be here on roughly the first week of January.
Okay.
Final inspection of the chassis will be in November, and then, final inspection of the overall piece of equipment will be the first week of January.
Okay. Any other questions? Seeing none, we'll move on to item number 10, consider approval of the transfer.
Motion approved.
Motion has been made by Mayor Constantopoulos. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, respond by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Item number 11, consider approval of the bills list. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, respond by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion also carries. Item 12, consider approval of an order to close Rogers Fox Road for the Halloween festivities in the track community on October 31st, Halloween 2020.
Motion approved.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, respond by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? That also carries.
That was Thompson on that first one, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Sir?
Question,
Oh,
I had
you're second.
in my, according to our pay plan, October anniversaries and pay increases, do we need to note that in the minutes? I just noticed it wasn't on the agenda unless I missed it there.
Janet, I assume that wasn't noted at the last meeting?
It should have been. Yeah, the pay increases?
That was in my packet, I just.
Oh, okay.
Oh, it was with the minutes,
Yeah,
because
that's
it was in the
from last
minutes.
That's one.
Oh, was that with the minutes?
Yeah.
Okay, I apologize.
Yeah, we do that the last meeting of each month.
That's one.
They got shuffled around to the back, so I thought we missed it.
Okay, sorry.
All right, item number 13, consider approval of an order to purchase two 2021 International HV 507 4x2 dump trucks for the Clark County Road Department. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second? Second. Any discussion?
That's just a question I think we should entertain talking about. We have a high cash balance in that fund. Is there a reason that we're going with a 2.99% loan for 5 years? Just curious.
That's gonna be similar to,
I know it's not terrible, but it's not great either.
right, that's gonna be similar to what we were just talking about. If there's a way we can refinance it with Keiko, we will. That's the best number we've come across so far.
Have we thought about just paying for it?
Or just paying cash for it.
We
Can't
had-
say that I really did consider that.
We had a huge
True.
carryover this year. I mean, if we got the cash in the bank, if it's necessary and we need it, it's something we can talk about.
Got two members of the road committee here. Is that something you all would like to entertain?
I don't really have any opinion one way or the other about financing the judge, so long as the terms are such that we can roll it into a lower rate. I mean, we get, 1.5% interest or whatever, and then as far as the cash balance goes, and then I'll defer to you and the treasurer on what they want to pay for it. I mean, we budgeted, I think, I think this actually came a little in under budget. Yeah, we
Yeah,
budgeted like
it's
330
That's one of the
something.
reasons I asked, because it's budgeted at 320, and I'm sure he needs to do some stuff to it to get them ready for winter weather and whatnot, I would imagine, I don't know if that'd be right. But it's well under budget, and we've got cash in the bank, so that's why I posed the question.
It was, according, when I looked at this yesterday, I think that it's budgeted as a fine.
It's budgeted as a pass-through,
Okay.
kinda like we do with Gary's money for the most part. So it would be off budget, but there's no question we probably got cash to do it, but it would be,
Well, I think as long as there's no early, as long as there's no early payoff penalty in the financing agreement, I don't have a problem with it. We did budget it as a loan lease, as Keiko refers to them, so as long as we don't get dinged on a payoff penalty if we do refinance and roll it in, or if we decide to pay it off in full in a year or 2 years or whatever the case.
I can't say for sure what the terms are of that agreement regarding payoff, but I'll be glad to look into it.
Usually bonding is the only one where we have a payoff penalty, not the one you mentioned that.
So you never know what a bank may.
Some of them,
Put it into a
but
bank.
very rarely you see that before, but.
I'm fine with it.
Other question would be, is there any discount in the price if we do it?
Well, I have no idea on that.
I think they're buying off a master agreement, and so there's no difference in prices.
I'm sorry, what was that?
It's off the master agreement,
Are the
so you
bank-
can't discount, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And so you just buy what's on the master agreement, and that's the price. There's no
That's an
difference.
already discounted rate because of safer.
Mm.
Okay, any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. I will look into that, Travis, just to finish the suit. Item number 14, consider approval of the order to hire a part-time heavy equipment operator for the Clark County Road Department.
So moved.
Is there a second? Second. Any discussion?
Again, Judge, this is dated prior to today's date, and it's part-time, so I really don't see the need in hiring someone prior to the approval, and this is the only part we do this for, so I'm gonna vote no.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No. Nay.
The ayes have it. Item number 15, consider approval of the order awarding and distributing fiscal year 2021 community funds to local programs and agencies.
Motion to approve.
Motion has been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Judge, I'd just like clerk to note for the record my recusal from any participation in either the discussion or the voting herein on this issue. I'm a board member and an officer of one of these nonprofits, Road Mercy First Place, and although that is not a paid position, it is volunteer, I don't think it'd be appropriate for me to vote on it, so just note my recusal, please, Judge.
Noted.
Just a note for the record, the group that was just here, New Beginnings, they didn't apply for any funds through this. I don't know why, maybe this was coming, but they did not apply for the normal round that we do. I don't know why, but, there was no application from them for this.
Thank you.
Only thing I'll say is I appreciate Magister Blanton and Magister Graham on the committee. We reviewed all the applications and went through them and compromised and worked together, came up with this list. I think it's a pretty good list, and I think you'll notice there's two, I guess, optional things that may come later in the time. One was for a speed limit sign, or electronic speed limit sign. Some of the subdivisions have been requesting and complaining about speeding. And then also there's some potential major repairs at the Parks Department in the natatorium. Is that correct, Master Blanton?
There's a couple of things, they don't have firm numbers on either one of them, but they definitely have to have, so they need both of them. We're making fun part of one of them, I guess.
So that's why there was a little extra money that was left over before we are was planning for those, potentially those two items. So just want to make the court aware of that.
County Attorney Opens, I have a question.
Sure.
I'm an ex officio member of the Brooks Place. Basically, myself and the mayor attend meeting in ex officio capacity. Is that something I should look for?
They're non-voting, they don't have a vote. Neither here or there.
You know, I think as a matter of ethics, you've got to determine what your own conflicts are. I don't see that, that doesn't seem to be a direct conflict, but, you know, I'm not familiar enough with your role to determine what the appearance may be to
Basically,
the public.
we just listen at the meetings, we don't particularly participate.
Doesn't sound like any conflict to me, but again, feel free to, you know, decide your own ethics in the situation. I don't think you abstaining from the vote is gonna have much influence, so.
Okay. Well, just to be safe, I'll go ahead and abstain as well. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Item number 16, consider the ratification of an order previously approved for the county clerk to use the fiscal courtroom for mail-in ballots from September 14, 2020 until November 6, 2020.
Motion approved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Who is my first there? I'm sorry.
Daniel.
Daniel, and who's the second?
Chris.
Okay.
Mr. Booth.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Item number 17, consider the ratification of an order previously approved for Achieving Recovery Together to begin First Day Forward program in the Clark County Detention Center.
So moved.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion also carries. Item number 18, consider the ratification of an order previously approved to hire Steve Asbury as the new fire chief for the Clark County Fire Department.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Congratulations again.
Thank you,
Who was the second on that one?
Mr. Blanton was
Blanton,
third
no.
on that
Okay.
one, so.
You all's backs are to me, so I apologize.
I'll try to speak louder, Sheriff.
Or just hold your hand up.
Hold your hands up. That's
Yeah.
good. Probably a good idea.
Thank you.
Item number 19, consider approval of an order to hire multiple part-time firefighters for the Clark County Fire Department.
So moved. Second.
Go ahead, Frank.
Davis and Constantopoulos.
Thank you.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Item number 20, consider approval of the first reading of an ordinance approving a lease for the financing of a project, providing for the payment and security of the lease, creating a sinking fund, and authorizing the execution of various documents regarding the lease. Do you have a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
What is this pertaining to, Judge? It really doesn't say.
This is
And what's the
basically,
amount?
this is a form that was sent to us from Keiko's finance department so that we can participate in their bond pool for this year.
I'm second, Jim.
We're talking about it.
Until the bond pool is full.
Okay.
Madam Clerk, I'm sorry.
Any further discussion?
But we have to vote on the participation,
Yeah.
affirmative participation.
Sure.
So it's just gets us in the door.
Correct. This makes us eligible.
Yeah, eligibility.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Item number 21, consider approval of the first reading of a joint ordinance with the city of Winchester, amending various sections of the city of Winchester ordinance number 10-2011 and Clark County ordinance number 11-07, parentheses, a joint ordinance establishing an administrative board, parentheses. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Judge, just where you poll your panel there, just if I could point out a couple of things to the court that they might want to take into consideration.
Okay.
If you're looking at page 2 of the first paragraph, whereas, says the public interest to establish a hearing board in accord with 82705. 82705 is actually repealed. I think the language there, establish a code enforcement hearing board, hereafter the administrative hearing board, in accord with KRS 65-8808 be more appropriate. And I'd be glad to pass that on to you at another time, and just point it out to you at this point so that you recognize that statute side there is no good.
What you said the new one was, 88 what?
65.8808. And I think it's just a typo. I note that in section 2-382 creation and membership, that the author picked up on the new provisions there with 8801 and 8839, so that's harmless but should be correct.
Would the best thing for us be to amend that today and then send that correction on to the city?
Well, you know, I think you amend it prior to your second reading, and you can have discussions with the city in the meantime about how they want to do that.
Back on page 4, it's been stricken and revised as well. I noticed that it was probably like county attorney probably used it as a typo. But I'll look back and have it correct.
It's just something they missed on the page.
Yeah.
Judge, apart from, corrections, I appreciate the importance of that. I think probably ought to have some discussion or explanation for anybody watching the meeting or interested in this. I mean, this has been kind of a smoldering issue in the county for years now, which is code enforcement. So I think maybe we ought to have at least some explanation of why we're doing this and just what brought this about.
Well, I think it would be fair to say that this is in large part brought about by the continued efforts of Magistrate Elkins. He's had a lot of complaints in his district regarding grass, mowing, things of that nature. And I've discussed with the county attorney, you know, is there any way that we can participate in code enforcement with the city outside of what we're already doing with the county attorney investigator, which is prosecuting. Of course, you're familiar, that's going to be in a court of law, there's going to be criminal penalties associated. Well, this is more of a civil penalty. This is something we're looking at to try to make us possibly be able to impose fines. I'm not sure if we would, under this, whether we'd be able to actually self-help and hire someone, an outside agency, which I think is what the city does, and then charge the property owner for any sort of maintenance that's done if they're that delinquent. But it's a step in that direction at the very least.
So would it be the city code enforcement officer that investigates these, even if it's outside the corporated?
Well, that'd probably be something we need to negotiate with the city. Under my reading of these terms, it says code enforcement officer. And right now, the one code enforcement officer is across the street from the city, but I believe it is a, Travis, you may know this, isn't it a police officer?
She's a power.
An employee
Ms.
of-
Power?
Yeah.
I spoke with her.
She's not a sworn officer, but she's an employee.
Okay.
I think
She
this-
works out of the police department as a code enforcement officer. So far as whether or not we would be granted limited access to her since she is a city employment, similar to the way that we're granted limited access to Rob Jeffries since he's a city employee, but we give him money for that, I don't really know. Something we'd have to work out with the city.
I think when you look at the enabling statute, chapter 65, it defines a code enforcement officer and includes a number of people, including police officers generally, and others. So I don't think although the statute says code enforcement officer, or the ordinance says code enforcement officer, it's enabled by a statute that gives a definition of what that is to include police officers. So it wouldn't be limited just to whoever the city is.
So hypothetically, then, could we use the county attorney detective to send
Correct.
fine letters as well? Okay.
Correct.
So that would not be a change from how we're doing it now, and I do wanna make one point of clarification. When you talk about grass mowing, we're not talking about if someone doesn't mow their grass for a month, we're talking about properties that have been abandoned and the grass hasn't been mowed for over a year in 2 cases that I'm aware of. They become hayfields pretty quickly like that, so I think that's what we're looking to clean up or clear up here, so that was my hope.
I think you can have this code enforcement as well, correct?
Well, Bradley has took care of us, that's why I'm here, is because the
district? No.
I didn't know.
I think Travis is, I think you're the magistrate.
I never spoke to him. I spoke to
Okay.
everybody, but.
Are you Ms. Raylan? Okay. You probably should have spoken in, public comments, but since this is pertinent to this particular issue, why don't you introduce yourself and speak at the podium if you'd like.
My name's Deborah Fraley. I like to thank Purdue and Elkins for all the work they've done the last 3 or 4 years, but we live at 117 McCullough Lane. We've been there 21 years. We've done a lot of work. So our neighbors, this is pretty emotional. The lady sold the land on land contract, and she actually died in the home about 6 months later. So the people that paid $40,000 down, they're still there. An 80-year-old lady and a 40-year-old guy and whoever else is there. There's drugs going on. There's no water. Hasn't been water. There's no electric. It's all day, all night. It's affecting my husband's health, and I've tried to reach out to everybody. And you know, Bradley has helped more than anything. I mean, he's went out there. They've had fines and stuff. She won't answer the door. I mean, there's shooting going on. When they moved there, the first year they shot across my property and went into the other man's house. So these are people that are not nice. Like, they're all criminals. And you know, to have my grandkids at the house Sunday sitting on the porch and they shot guns, and then they're scared, and then my husband gets upset, and then 3 days in a row we've had conflict with these people because now they know that we're calling the law. Like, I call the law. So what happens when you call the law? That makes them mad. So then they provoke you, and so it's an ongoing thing. So you have people that are not paying taxes, they're not doing anything, and then we come home to this. So I don't want to have to put my place up for sale because we can't get anything done as far as, you know, the health department's been out there several times. Evidently they can't find anything, but there's no water. You have 5 to 8 people in this home, and it's the city's pushing people out. They can't live in campers in town. They can't live in tents. Well, guess where they're going? To the county. So Bradley done came out and they were supposed to he caught them in the camper. So they've been fined for that. He's told them about the trash again. They're just waiting for a judge to sign. So I guess they're gonna get served for that. So, you know, that's gonna make them mad too. They're trying to make businesses, like whoever he can get out there, you know, he's trying to get money by letting people live in buildings. Eventually I'd like for you and I to talk so you could just come out here and see. But I don't know what else to do, and it's not fair.
Where's this at?
They live at 111 McCullough Lane. It's still in the deceased woman's name. The children that were left behind, 2 of them are in and out of jail. So the other one, she's a mom, a RN with 2 kids, with 2 twin boys, who is like out of sight, out of mind. She's afraid of Michael Wheatley. She doesn't want anything to do. People have said, oh, she's executive. She's not executive. She has to get these 2 other kids to sign. This woman's been dead maybe 3 years. You know, they're just living there scot-free and not doing anything but causing harm. Like, we have 80-year-old neighbors. They don't want to walk. I mean, I have pictures after pictures after pictures. They know I've sent them to them. License plates, you know, the drug activity, the meth. I mean, I just don't know what else to do. And it's really affecting my husband's health. His blood pressure was 218 over 118 the other night. And, you know, it's not going to be good when something happens to him. He has a defibrillator. I mean, I know this is just a little bit of, y'all have a lot going on, but it's a lot to me to go home to this. And it's not going away. I thought, you know, maybe something could get done, but it's not going away. It's there. They're there to stay. And I don't feel like if you come home every day and you had your son outside and you've got this talking going on, F the neighbors this, how much of that are you going to take? And my husband's he's, back in the day, he's been kind of a hothead. But for 3 years, I've been the voice. And you know why? Because he doesn't want this defibrillator to go off. And he said yesterday, I wish this wasn't here. And he's at his breaking point, and it's not good. Because when they shot Sunday, guess what? He went and shot. Of course, he shot into the ground. But guns are not good, you know, it's not good. But when you upset your grandkids, that's another line you've stepped over. And I shouldn't have had to take them home. So, and they don't care. They don't want help. The garbage has been paid for them. Bradley got that took care of. The garbage was paid for them for 6 months. The county paid for it. Somebody did. They didn't pick it up and put it at the road. My husband mowed the yard the first time they moved there. They don't want you to mow the yard. They don't want you to do anything for them. They want to be left alone so they can make their meth. and that's how they make their money. He makes his money out of the backpack, that's what he told the old lady. And her name is Dolly Harrison. So, and you're lucky if you get her come to the door, but it's not right. So I don't know what all y'all can propose, but for the county, I think there needs to be more ordinances. Guess that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President, you have time? I'll get with that.
So I lost track. We're still in discussion on item 21, correct? Correct.
You have a motion on the floor.
Any further discussion?
Oh, I was wondering about the setup of the boards. I don't know if it's something, like, normally I see like half of them are nominated by the county.
Sure.
Half by the city and all that stuff.
It's shared. Is that not in here?
I didn't see it either, Judge. I haven't, National Land mentioned it.
And also terms.
Okay, that may not have been included in there.
Said 5 members.
Because this is an
Presidents of
amendment to
county.
the previously existing, but it's joint appointment. Basically, I think we have 2, they have 2, and then there may be one that's jointly appointed.
Yes.
So,
The ordinance was emailed,
it was sent to us a few months ago.
Right, it was about
June, maybe?
3 months ago, Magister Graham, and of course, I'm sure you got it, but now I had it too, but it was emailed around, I don't remember where it came from, it come from the
Came from the city.
Or the city,
Yeah, it came from the city.
it did come from the city.
They sent it over to us because they said they were gonna be looking at it, and then we just found out recently they passed it.
I'll go back through my email and give it to you. I'm sure I have it, but
It says in section 2, 382 that there's 5 members, all residents of the county, yada, 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 that's the question. That's how the board is established.
And 2 are appointed by the county, 2 are appointed by the city, and 1 is a joint appointment. And, we've made 1 appointment since I've been here, and the other ones are either the remaining ones are ones made by the city.
the board currently exists, correct? And
Well, it does
this is
exist,
just
but it
giving
doesn't
it-
really hear anything from the county. That's why I
That's
thought
correct.
that it might be logical for the county, if we're gonna be a member of this board, well, they should be hearing some type of complaint.
Right, yeah,
You've got to have an ordinance to enforce it, which we don't have.
correct.
But this would enable, this would be the enable.
Oh, yeah.
Instead
Instead of
of
going to court, you go to the administrative hearing board.
Well, you also,
Board currently exists, it's good.
the authorities for
I
the
mean,
previous ordinances
The
were
judge's
repealed.
own brother was before the administrative hearing board not long ago on some city properties. And the house around the corner from me was there, they made them board it up and mow the grass, and it goes through them quicker than it goes through court.
Which the county needs.
But we need regulations in order to send people out there.
Code though, right?
What?
Our code that they're gonna enforce, we still have to pass.
If the ordinance for the county reads differently than the ordinance for the city, then it would be enforceable in the county.
We would just have to cite them and send their information over to them so they could hear it. And which apparently the county attorney investigator or anyone can enforce it. If it's a sheriff, the judge, anybody can be in to do enforcement. Because of the broad language of what a code enforcement officer is. Or we could hire someone.
Just to try to be helpful, the statutes relied on previously were all repealed in 2017. So the presence of a board alone wasn't sufficient. We didn't have an ordinance that was enabled by any grant from the Commonwealth in terms of power. So this will pick up on the new statutes in Chapter 65. That's also where the definition of code enforcement officer lays, that enables that person to enforce these rules. So it's more than just trying to fire up what was, that literally was no longer authorized by statute, so we needed this new ordinance.
Okay, any further discussion?
I think part of the issue, and the county attorney can correct me if I'm wrong, there's limited things we can do in an agricultural district. as far
That's
as
correct.
code enforcement.
And that also was a part of this Chapter 65 legislation.
Exactly.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor respond by saying aye.
Aye.
motion carries. I'll make a note to ask the city what they want to do about that typo. Item number 22, consider approval of a resolution to authorize and provide for the amendment of documents regarding the Kentucky Educational Development Revenue Bonds, the Lexington School Project, Series 2018 or 2018A, issued by the county on September 19, 2018, to finance a portion of the cost to acquire, construct, renovate, and equip various educational facilities for Lexington School, Inc., a Kentucky nonprofit corporation.
Second.
Motion has been made or seconded. Have you had a chance to review this document, County Attorney Elkins?
Judge, I reviewed the document as contained in the packet. What I didn't get to see was the referenced loan agreement and trust indenture. If you'll recall, I think each of us have seen the ones from 2018, and they very specifically provided in the loan agreement and the indenture that the county, just like this resolution, had no liability here in terms of repayment. But this resolution asks the banking institution to modify those agreements to get, I don't think that we can see from where we sit what those modifications are. I think we could say we expect to know what they are, but I don't think we can say that we know what they are until we see them.
Okay, yeah, I can tell you that basically some of the concerns that we raised in the conversation with them, they sent me an email saying they're willing to take into their documentation and provide us, but I wasn't sure if that would suffice for the purposes of this vote or not.
Well, they did. They did provide that. They provided us the documents that this resolution intends to modify. So what that does is it tells us where we are, but that tells us what we've seen so far. It doesn't show us what it is, what the modifications are. And so, assuming that the modifications aren't to those two very important provisions, one in the loan agreement and one in the trust indenture that says we don't know anything. Assuming that's not modified, then I think this resolution's in place. It would be, properly considered. But I don't know that because I haven't seen the modifications for myself.
So what would your advice be?
So is the resolution in proper legal form? It is. Would I advise passing it? I'd want to see the trust indenture and the loan agreement with the proposed modifications, make sure they don't have any impact on the county.
I'll make a motion to postpone this to our next meeting.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to postpone to the next meeting.
Judge, can I ask, is there anybody present that can offer information on that point?
I don't think so.
Okay. It's a lot of money.
All those in favor respond by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Janet, let's see if we can get the documentation that the county attorney has advised us before the next meeting.
I know his last email, he said he was willing to make those modifications,
Yeah,
but we didn't see.
He said he would do it, but he
Yeah,
never
he didn't send them,
sent it.
yeah.
Are y'all showing the next meeting, the next Thursday?
Next Thursday. Yeah, week and a day. Item number 23, consider approval to adopt a resolution authorizing the Clark County Fiscal Court to execute an agreement with Commonwealth of Kentucky Transportation Cabinet, Department of Rural and Municipal Aid for drainage structure replacement on Old Boonesboro Road, parentheses CR 1244 in parentheses dash CB01 Richmond. Got a motion?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none? Did you get those, Michelle?
Yes, thank you.
All those in favor respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Item number 24, discussion of an ongoing outstanding balance on the WEX fuel bill. Basically, this is an Alicia issue. She brought to our attention that there's been a long-standing balance on our WEX fuel bill. Apparently, they want to be paid their money, understandably. It goes back many years, is my understanding. Alicia?
Sure. Okay, so when the finance officer was trying to pay the WEX bills, they were not matching up to the department totals. So when she looked into it and she contacted WEX, and I provided the conversation that she did have with WEX, there's been an ongoing problem with the checks that we have been sending have not been agreeing to the balance owed. We don't know when it started. It looks like in the email it started back in 2018. So this has been an ongoing fluctuating balance that has gone up and down, and we can't pinpoint where it started and how to fix it. To determine which department hasn't paid like the right amounts, because that would be going back for a few years. So the finance officer came up with a solution, or a proposed solution, and she took the past bill and the 5 departments that spend the most for fuel, and she took she found their percentages of that bill, and then applied those percentages to the past due balance of the 896.32. And if you all feel like that is the most appropriate way to pay it, or if anybody else has a better way to pay it, or a better suggestion on how to divvy it up in the departments.
So basically what Alicia is suggesting is there's been a long-standing balance around $900, and the best conclusion we have come to so far, maybe County Attorney Elkins might have some advice as well, I don't know, is simply to look at the pro rata distribution typically from each fund for the WEX bills, and to apply it the way that they would generally be applied percentage-wise. So for instance, if, let's say, typically the 4 of us all gave $25 on a $100 bill, then we would each give 25% of this bill. But that's the best idea we came up with.
But we don't know for sure that we owe the money.
We're confident.
Oh, we do absolutely owe the money, yes, sir.
We just don't know the
We have
appropriate
confirmed with
amount,
WEX
because it goes
that we
back
do
so
owe
far,
it.
we can't trace it.
I guess nobody has any idea why this was not paid in the past. Somebody must have thought we didn't owe the money. That's my assumption
I
anyway.
would think so.
Right, but we just want to correct them moving forward. Like, we don't need this problem of moving forward. And the finance officer wants to go ahead and correct this, and so when she does reconcile the bills, that she is reconciling to the departments, and that we don't continue to carry this outstanding balance.
We spend quite a bit of money with WEX.
Mm-hmm.
Have we asked them to forgive that balance?
Well, give us the paperwork to show us where it came from, but they would, if they say we owe it, sure they know what we owe it from and where.
It's an ongoing problem from 2008. It's ongoing from 2018 that we have continuously not paid the balance owed. So that would be going back for multiple years and trying to figure out when we did pay and we didn't pay and the differences.
I'm sure WEX probably is as eager to clean up their books as we are ours.
Absolutely.
It's all for myself.
I was gonna suggest that if they won't write it off, maybe they will meet us in the middle and write off half of it, and we'll eat half of it.
You know roughly how much we spend with WEX a year?
I do not.
It's about,
Very close to 120 grand or more.
I don't know that it's that much, is it? I think it's about 5,000 a month or
Well, I don't.
I mean, this bill right here is 11,000, so I would assume that is pretty common. So 11,000 each month,
I
so
guess that's
about
right. The road
110,000.
department's about 5,000 itself, so yeah, that's probably right.
Is there anything preventing us from postponing? Have they threatened any sort of action of any sort?
They have not. They've not currently threatened any action against it. I mean, it has been an ongoing problem for more than 2 years. But we did tell them that we would work on a resolution.
Well, I don't know, I'm never opposed to settling disputes when there's a dispute of fact. But if we know we owe this, I mean, if there's no doubt that Clark County government owes this, then it ought to be paid. Now, if there's an accounting problem on our end as to how to divvy it up between all these line items, what department it comes out of, I mean, quite frankly, that's Clark County's problem. That's not Wex's problem. Now, if they billed us inappropriately, or for services or fuel that Clark County didn't buy, or no department bought, that's one thing. Unless there's some indication of that, we need to go on and pay it. And then we'll figure out how we're gonna divvy up this debt, or expense, I should say. But I mean, I think just to keep kicking the can down the road, hoping that they forgive some of what we owe, I don't think that's the right way to go. And I'm never opposed to settling,
A
disputed
legitimate
debts,
dispute.
a
What you're
legitimate
saying
dispute.
is
That's right.
You haven't seen yet that there's an actual dispute.
Yeah, if there's not an actual dispute, just whether we owe it or not, we need to pay it.
Have we asked them to show us how we owe it? Because Magistrate Elkins just said, obviously somebody thought we didn't know it, or we would have paid it.
That would be my assumption is someone, somewhere along the way thought we didn't owe it apparently. Because if it were just a matter of which department owed it, I would think that past treasurers and finance officers would have figured that
Do
out.
they charge late fees with WEX? Because I know it was kind of the, lack of a better word, policy of some of our previous financial officers not to pay late fees, and sometimes that would make the bills look different.
I don't see that there has been any late fees, but that doesn't mean that they haven't charged any.
The other, we're
In the
going
past.
on the assumption that somebody here 2 or 3 years ago didn't think we owed it, so we didn't pay it. The other assumption is it just didn't get paid. It was overlooked.
My assumption is that possibly the bills would not be reconciled to the exact balance, and so they were giving them to the departments, and instead of putting it all together to make sure that the bill balanced, it wasn't. So then we continuously carried over a balance.
So, the way I'm understanding this, say they sent us $11,000 bill.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the department head would basically say, well, this is, let's say the fire department's 9,000,
Mm-hmm.
The road department was, 1,000, and so we paid 10,000 when we actually owed 11,000.
Right, it's like that one department, it either didn't pay, or there was another amount that didn't get added on to each of the departments. And so then the bill itself, because the way that we pay by line item, and so all these are divvied up into their own separate line items. And if you don't go back and make sure that all those line items agree to the bill, then you're not paying the whole bill.
Judge?
That's just my assumption.
Just my thought. It would seem that, this being no more than a couple, 2.5 years old, that WEX could provide a spreadsheet, or comma, separated value, data that would be assigned by a card. Be easy enough to sort that out then in Excel so that you could assign it department by department. And actually make sure it's not using road fund dollars to pay fire department fuel and so on and so forth. It would seem to me that would just be a very simple thing for them to do. Give you the data in a form so that you
Have we
can
requested that information from them?
Not that I'm aware of.
Well, I think we should probably postpone and give Alicia a little more time to work it out.
Till next meeting?
At least she knows the way we're looking at
We
it.
have a meeting next week, it's just a week and a day away. I agree completely with Magistrate Davis, we don't need to offer a settlement for something that we actually owe, but obviously we don't know the answer to that, so let's spend the next 8 days figuring that out. And I'm fine to designate somebody from Alicia or Cheryl or somebody to present to us next week what went on, why it went on, how it went on, and we can address it at that time, so I'll make a motion to postpone it or table it, however you'd like to do.
I'll second.
Making a motion to postpone.
I'll second the motion to postpone until the next meeting, and I'll say off this discussion. I'm certainly not opposed to paying bills that we owe, but I'm very opposed to paying bills I'm not sure we owe.
And we may not, who knows?
Correct.
Let's
I
figure it
know
out.
that
We don't know.
Yeah, we'll see what we can find out. All right, all those in favor of postponing, respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. 25, master comments, Master Graham.
Nothing, thank you.
Patrick Thompson.
Very pleased to be back in the courtroom. Imagine everybody is, so appreciate that. Sure, I don't have to say something.
Thank you. Magistrate Costello.
I disagree, it's good to be back in person again, so that's all I got to say.
Magistrate Elton.
Reiterate that, it's good to be back in the courtroom again. Thank you for doing that and making that possible. Hope we can do it again next Thursday. That's all I have.
On that note, are there gonna be, will we be able to continue to meet in here through November 4th if we need to, or is there some time where you're gonna have to shut
November
us
4th?
out? Yeah.
If you guys will be out here after election day, help me clean it up.
No, I mean through November 4th, will we be able to continue meeting in here?
We can meet next,
We can
next
meet,
meeting.
right.
Yeah,
I
Okay.
mean,
it'll be like
I
this.
apologize for all this right here, but I did this mostly for myself as well, cause the Zoom meetings, as you all know, was not working for me. I went back to that last one and saw 2 motions that I missed, cause I lost contact with you all, so, I did this mostly for me as well, so.
Okay.
But yes, I'll
We
probably leave this
appreciate
set
it.
up, we're gonna be in here doing ballots this afternoon. We'll probably just leave this set up just like this.
Thank you, Michelle.
You're
Good.
welcome.
Magistrate Davis.
Well, just wanted to reiterate, it is good to be back, and thank Matt Clerk for working with us so that we can all be back in the courtroom, Deputy Judge, for helping to get everything set up, ready for today. Hopefully the live stream via Facebook went well. We're gonna try that today. The only thing Judge Watt spoke about earlier is I just would encourage you, your staff, to work with Keiko on refinancing any of that long-term debt that we can. Again, we may not see rates this low, in our lifetime, not as low as they are now. They're gonna be low, I think, for a while, but I think that over the next year or two, it's gonna be the time to start rolling as much as that high interest debt. And Judge, I would even say, even those bonds that we've been told can't be paid off early. You know, there may be an early payoff penalty or provision, but it may still save us so much more money to pay it off early, even with paying a penalty, assuming there is one, if we got a tremendously lower rate. I don't know if that's even possible, but if it is, I'd sure like to explore it, because we look at debt that's 5.25% interest, and now people borrow money for 1.5%, 2%, 2.5%. You're talking about a tremendous amount of interest rate for what we owe, so that's all I have. Thank you.
Magistrate Blank.
Just a question, maybe Daniel knows the answer to this. When we hired this company, I can't recall the name, that looking at the net profit that was due to the county, and we was paying them a percentage, have we heard anything? Have they wrapped that up, or do we have to file a report,
Are
or?
you talking about net profits, or are you talking about the, codification?
No, the net profit.
No, it's the company.
Avenue.
I've discussed with you, and I've discussed with
Yeah.
Janet too.
But it's still kinda hanging out there.
I'll let them tell you the story of it.
Okay.
Okay, well, we have a contract with these folks. It's got 2 contact numbers on it. Both of them are disconnected. I tracked down like 7 different emails that you could email. I finally got a response from somebody who wasn't even one of those 7 emails. And that said, call me, we'll talk about it. I called a couple times, they haven't called back. All I can say is it's very tough to communicate with that company. We can continue to try, but it's getting close, in my opinion, to where we may need to just look at, severing our relationship with them and maybe going with someone who's not in Alabama / California.
They've been at it for so long, surely they've exhausted all remedies to try to collect what's due the county, but I don't know that, so
That's the problem, is we couldn't find out anything, and I actually spoke to Ms. Mayab yesterday about it, and actually we've got this company, because remember, we outsourced it because they didn't have the time, but I think at this point, we need to look at potentially bringing it in-house and having somebody do that and tracking it and monitor it, and that way they
well,
can
the
go
government's
out.
doing what they've always done and contacting them. Well, we need to do something to.
I agree 100%, but from what I know is, and I'm sure y'all got the phone calls too, back when they originally just sent a letter out, and then people were calling me saying, well, I've sent this back, and then they keep sending me the same letter again, and they would try to call, and they could never get anything. So I just don't think the service has been that well, and I don't think they've done that good of a job, because we paid on a commission. And if you notice, I think we've only paid once in the last.
Once or twice.
Once or twice in the last 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
How long was the contract?
3 years, I believe.
Probably, yeah.
So it's last year? think it had an end date, and I don't think it was just on the, maybe.
I know we had to
Well,
pay
it
them for the first year
here's
or
what
something
I-
now.
They were supposed to do 3 years of tax collections, each year report back, and basically give us the ones that they had found so that we could, if we wanted to, set up our own database and do it ourselves.
Right.
Unfortunately, we haven't received, to my knowledge, any of those reports in maybe years. I don't know if we ever received them.
Well, can we look at that contract and see what our options are? as
I've
far as-
already looked at it. I think there's a pretty solid argument they breached the contract when they don't respond to communication. So,
I know the same outfit has always been, and they changed their name, because I saw the guy,
Unity Corp is what they were, and then a venue.
yeah, because I talked to the guy at one of the CACO conferences, I guess it was last year, when we had this conversation, and that was where it ended, but I know they changed their name, and they moved locations, and stuff, but we need to kind of bring this thing to an end, so.
Judge, if you think they breached the contract, do you remember if there are, stipulations for, cure?
For
I'm
what?
sure, for a cure, I'm sure we have to notify them that we.
Yeah, basically, I would have the county attorney look at it to be for sure, but, the way it reads, basically, if they breached the contract, then we can get out of it with no penalty, so to speak. If they haven't breached and we just wanna sever the relationship, then we still have to pay them for their, I guess, expected revenue.
I think it was based on what they brought in.
Yeah,
It was based on what they brought in, I do remember that. One thing I would like to have, and it would maybe be worth, reaching out to them and try to cure a breach, is those reports that they.
that would be great to have the
Yeah.
reports, I totally agree.
If we could cure that rather than get out of the contract, maybe that would be the best solution for the county. I'll leave that to the county attorney and he can decide, but I'll bring up talk.
If you can't get a hold of them, though, they won't.
Right, yeah, I get it,
Phone
yeah,
calls.
which leads me to question how someone's gonna contact them that owes money.
Hey, maybe? I hadn't thought about that.
Now, I do know that the rep for our area was Richard Boone, and he retired a year ago, and since then, we've heard nothing. So somewhere along the line, either they just haven't reassigned us to someone, or they're not working at it anymore, I don't know. But he's come to the office a couple times, and then once he left, nothing.
Okay.
The other thing I had was after we talked with we had the thing on the agenda last month about the car building and their dumpster. I don't know whether they're gonna put that dumpster out back, but, back of that building's a mess. We probably ought to have Becky send them a weed loader, because weeds are 5 foot tall out back of that building, but before we proceed on that, we need the rest of that information. And need to do some property maintenance themselves.
Yeah. Okay.
That's all I got.
Thank you. I'm happy we were able to invest in the ultrasound today. A lot of folks say that, local government can't have any impact on issues like abortion, and I think that we had an impact on that issue today. Like Becky said, if an expectant mother of an unexpected pregnancy, 4 out of 5 times, if they see that child in the womb, they're gonna say, no, I don't wanna have this abortion. And to me, that may be the most important thing we voted on since we walked in the door. So, hopefully we can get that project up and running. I'm willing to help them in any way we can. Also, I'm gonna try to make it out to Halloween at Trap. I think that'll be fun. I wanna see us get as close to back to normal as we possibly can. On that note, there was a conference call with the governor, and he said, and this is a question I asked him, and I was glad that he answered it. He's concerned about the numbers, associated with COVID-19, not specific to Clark County. He was talking about the state as a whole, and as you know, a lot of that is Jefferson, Fayette, and a lot of people basically ask, why are we being thrown in with Jefferson and Fayette? And actually, Clark County, if you look at the color map, we're about the best one in our region generally. If the numbers don't go down, he said that they may look at shutting down restaurants and bars again. So just take that for what it's worth.
Judge Pace,
Yeah.
going back to New Beginnings, at your request, the county attorney did the order.
Okay.
So if you wanna make the order of record this meeting, we can take care of it today and then process whatever we need to for New Beginnings.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. I just didn't, I just thought we could take care of it today and not have to bring it back next time.
Way to go, man.
I had it sitting right there.
Leave it to Daniel.
Thank you, Deputy.
You're all right. I've got your back, buddy.
I apologize.
You're okay.
I'm a failure today, I'm a failure.
No.
Okay, so, we'll just go along the same lines. We already had the resolution earlier, I suppose you could say. I'll make a motion that we accept this order to provide $7,500 for new equipment at New Beginnings for the ultrasound machine. Who was it that seconded
It
it?
was me, and I'll second.
Okay. From the community fund, yes. All those in favor, respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
I'm gonna vote no because it needs some supporting documentation.
All right, that carries. I don't have anything else, so I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion made.
Who's that?
Seconded. Daniel and Greg. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Thank you. Have a good day. I know.
I'm sorry?
My hands are flying everywhere.
Yes. I'll
So
get,
they passed it around, I don't know.
yeah, he made multiple copies. I'll
Okay.
get you.